Coming up in the Bahamas tonight, the big meeting reportedly planned for tomorrow that could set the pace for a fierce election contest. A deepening of the bench for the Supreme Court. Straight ahead, other plans for a more progressive legal year. And the whereabouts of a missing teen, a mystery tonight. Find out where a friend says he dropped this man off before he disappeared. All those stories and more straight ahead in the Bahamas tonight.
Covering the islands of the Bahamas, ZNS Network presents The Bahamas Tonight.
This portion of the news is brought to you by McDonald's. McDonald's, I'm loving it.
Good evening and welcome to the Bahamas Tonight, the National Report. I'm Keishla Adderley. Thanks for joining us. Topping the news tonight, the governing Free National Movement is getting set to ratify its 38 candidates as the party prepares to defend its majority in Parliament against significantly increased odds. After months of speculation, confirmation about incumbents who will not be on the ticket this time around, and old faces getting acquainted with new constituencies, the FNM's executive circle is about to make the final decision before officially introducing the party's team to the public. Shenique is following the story.
It's just a matter of hours now until the Free National Movement announces its slate of candidates. The announcement will come after a meeting with the Executive Council and Executive Committee, and by all indications, it will be a mix of the old and new. The governing party has apparently kept its list of candidates a closely guarded secret up to this point. But ZNS News has been reliably informed that the Council and Executive Committee will meet on Thursday to finalize and ratify its list of nominees. Our sources tell us all candidates will be ratified and announced tomorrow, though we cannot say if Grand Bahamas candidates will be included, as it's been announced that the party will name the men and women contesting seats in Grand Bahama on Sunday. While in Eleuthera on Friday, Prime Minister Ingram gave this reason why no announcement before now.
You've got one to do in Cat Island and one more to do in Nassau, and then we will have the full team to put out to the public. We will speak to the public and we will tell you where we are headed on the next trip.
Another reason is the party has been working to put forward the most competent candidates while adding younger faces to the fold. Take Eleuthera, for example. Both nominees, Howard Johnson and Theo Neely, are in their 30s. Neely, who was nominated late Friday, told us why he decided the FNM ticket was best.
The key thing is dealing with leadership and action, and basically the FNM has proven to be the party of action, getting things done. Even in a global recession where we've seen many countries around the world that have actually collapsed, and here in the Bahamas, we've been able to sustain ourselves and keep growing.
Now, according to our sources, this thrust to add young and new faces to the party's lineup will also carry over to Grand Bahama and the candidates who will run there. And while there will be incumbents, there is reportedly some changes. Unconfirmed reports say Shivargo Lang will not be contesting the Marco City seat this time around, but is back here in New Providence and will run in Fort Charlotte. Carmichael MP Desmond Bannister is leaving New Providence and will contest the North Andros seat. And it has been confirmed that Montague's Loretta Butler Turner will run in Long Island. As for who will not be running this time around, North Eleuthera MP Alvin Smith. It's now a game of wait and see as the party puts final measures in place to launch its candidates on Thursday. Shenique Miller, ZNS News.
A new legal year has begun with some key changes, all geared towards speeding up a busy court schedule, additional manpower, and the permanent placement of resources where they've never been before. Among the adjustments announced today as a traditional ceremony focused on some modern adversity. Here's Fern, Carey.
A number of initiatives underway to strengthen and enhance the work of the court. However, Chief Justice Sir Michael Barnett is reminding all stakeholders that it will take the combined effort of all of us to make them successful. The legal year opening with the pomp and pageantry associated with the long-held tradition. And while ongoing challenges in the administration of justice still exist, Chief Justice Sir Michael Barnett indicated that significant progress is being made. That includes an increase in Supreme Court judges.
In 2012, the court will have 2 more justices than it had in 2010. This past year, the criminal side of the Supreme Court operated at maximum capacity. There were 4 courts in New Providence and 1 court in Freeport, Grand Bahama, fully committed to adjudicate on criminal matters. With the addition of Justice Charles, the Supreme Court will devote an additional 5th court in New Providence to adjudicate primarily on criminal matters.
Efforts also underway to improve the working environment for judges, with Justices Vera Watkins and Bernard Turner presiding over criminal matters starting this month in the newly renovated judicial complex in Bank Lane.
Justices Vera Watkins and Bernard Turner will preside over criminal matters in those courts beginning this month. Justice Charles's court and chambers will be located in this main Supreme Court building. With the completion of the renovations carried out last year, there are now 7 courts in New Providence which are equipped to conduct criminal trials. This is in addition to the 2 courts in Grand Bahama.
New case management rules are also being considered and will be formalized soon. However, the Chief Justice cautioned that while delays may be reduced, they still may occur. He also noted that residents still have an important role to play.
With 5 courts in New Providence, there is an increased need for persons to serve as jurors. Our efforts will not succeed if eligible persons continue to seek to unreasonably excuse themselves from jury duty. Our Constitution guarantees a trial by jury for certain serious offenses.
Meantime, Eleuthera and Exuma are benefiting from resident magistrates who will also serve Long Island and Cat Island. A resident magistrate is also being considered for Andros. Fern, Carey, ZNS News.
Now, during the opening of the legal year today, Attorney General John Delaney indicated that measures are in place to ensure that the court's business is more efficient. That includes fixing dates for trial.
Cases are arraigned in the Supreme Court. The judge, the arraignment judge, fixes a specific date for that trial, and that has yielded significant progress during the course of 2011. The kind of progress such that you now have cases, fairly current cases. In some instances, the offenses were committed in 2010 or 2011 that in a number of instances have already cleared the justice system.
Last year, a number of lawyers were hauled before the courts for various offenses. Now, President of the Bahamas Bar Association, Ruth Bo Darville, is saying that efforts are being made to repair the council's image and enforce discipline.
The Ethics Committee received 131 complaints during 2011. 24 complaints were referred to the disciplinary tribunal for further action, and of these, 17 were resolved, settled, or withdrawn. Other complaints not referred are awaiting information from the complainant or response from the lawyer concerned. However, during the year, there were suspensions, inclusive of orders for payment, suspensions, and suspensions as preconditions to disbarment. There were, during the course of 2011, 2 ordered suspensions. Regrettably, though, they are presently under appeal.
The country's economy is expected to grow marginally this year. That's what financial analysts are predicting, as they say the Bahamas will still feel the effects of an economy struggling to recover and pull itself out of recession. Experts say most of this is as a result of the economy being dependent on global conditions. Clint Watson has more.
For 2012, we are cautiously optimistic.
That's how financial analyst and CFAL executive Anthony Ferguson predicts the 2012 economic climate.
The project going on at Iraqi port development, as well as what's going on at Bahamas, should really be an impetus for some growth level in the country.
Like many others in his sector, Ferguson forecasts the Bahamas will still be challenged in certain sectors. But with the U.S. economy coming out of its recession, with 200,000 jobs added in the last 5 months, things are looking good.
We still have to be very mindful of how we go about spending and how we plan for ourselves. And I think you will see companies take a little longer before they begin to expand their workforce to ensure that they can, in fact, sustain them.
Ferguson says the financial sector will probably continue to be challenged because of global trends.
We may see some cutbacks in the financial sector. We're beginning to see where a number of banks are consolidating, trust companies are moving out, and some financial institutions are laying off quietly. But again, We think for the most part, most of it is probably over, and going forward, we could probably see probably at least a 1%, 1.5% growth in our GDP.
Providence Advisors Executive Kenwood Kerr is of the view that there won't be any serious or marked improvement in 2012 compared to last year.
We are faced, obviously, with a global recession where all the major economies are looking inward at themselves, looking how they could restructure and do things a little more efficiently so that they could themselves come through this period of economic uncertainty. And for us in the Bahamas, who are largely dependent on the external economic environment, we're no different.
Kerr's advice is to not live beyond your means.
Understand what you make, how you make it, how often, what you spend it on. Have a financial roadmap in terms of a financial budget so that you can make a determination of how money is spent, how often, and where there may be areas where you overspend that you could look to cut back on, because it's all a question of being financially disciplined and making some sacrifices for the future.
Now, financial experts say it's all about being financially disciplined and making some sacrifices for the future. Now, at Thursday's Business Outlook Forum, State Minister for Finance Shavagal Lang will address the state of the economy from the government's perspective. Clint Watson, ZNS Evening.